Lord of the Rings of Power Season 1 was the most expensive series ever made. It was also a massive failure, not just because the fans despised it, but also because people didn't tune in. The audience, the Tolkien fans, the Lord of the Rings fans that were out there hated what they did with this because it wasn't Lord of the Rings. It was glorified fan fiction from people that wanted to shove their identity politics into every aspect of this story that doesn't belong to them. And we saw that play out with the ratings. Only 37% of United States Lord of the Rings of Power viewers finished season 1. A complete and total failure, got demolished by House of the Dragon in the ratings, yet they have another season coming because they've committed so much fucking money to this catastrophe. And to be honest, one of the things that hurt this series more than anything else was the cast, the crew, the showrunners, everybody out there telling fans how they need to feel about this, including saying that if you feel a certain way, if you criticize this, you're just a bigot, you're just a racist, and we're here to change you. That was basically the messaging this entire time. And ironically enough, 20 years after the fact, an interview was resurfaced from Ian McKellen, who played Gandalf in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, simply provided an example of how differently they approach things, or at least he specifically did, when he took on Lord of the Rings. Look at this. Ian McKellen explains his job as an actor is, quote, not to presume to tell the audience what to think ever in anything I do. And I'm going to get into it. I'm going to play this audio for you because it's very interesting to see how things have changed over the past 20 years. What did we see the entire time when it came to Lord of the Rings of Power? The Lord of the Rings of Power showrunner accuses show's critics of being patently evil. If you don't agree with the changes we've made, if you're not 100% down with the messaging, you're just fucking evil. You're a bigot. You're a racist. We heard that time and time again. Rings of Power cast condemns racism facing castmates of color. Yeah, you know when people are complaining that they're violating the canon, the lore of Lord of the Rings, going completely contrary to the things that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote? Yeah, all that realistic, fair criticism. You're just a bigot. You're just a racist. Rings of Power star Sophia Namvet. My place in this show is not just a celebration. It's an act of defiance. She would go on red carpet after red carpet talking about how it was her job to speak and convince the audience that we belong here. Definitely presuming to tell the audience what to think. Not a doubt about that. You had actresses within the show say that they were bringing their activism to the character to then bring to that audience. Nazanin Bayandi says her character is an activist, credits Prime Video writers for giving female characters agency. And of course, Ishmael Cruz Cordova, my mission has been to occupy these spaces and teach the audience that we belong in this story, regardless if Tolkien wrote it that way or not. This is the onslaught that we saw for Lord of the Rings of Power. Well, Ian McKellen said something very different all the way back in 2003.
What is the one message that you would like the audiences to get? The one thing that will be the legacy of the Lord of the Rings movies?
I wouldn't presume to tell an audience what to think ever, in anything I do. I'm not a politician, I'm not a proselytizer, I'm not a pamphleteer, I'm an actor. And I work on behalf of people who do the writing, who have the message. My job is not to tell the audience anything, it's just to explain the person I'm playing and be on the side of the character I'm playing, good or bad. I don't judge characters. When I played Richard III, I didn't say I'm going to tell the audience why they shouldn't like tyranny and dictators. I just got on with explaining why Richard III turned out to be the way he was. And the same with Gandalf and Richard III. Do my best to impersonate it, but I can't anticipate the audience's reaction.
Very interesting, right? An interview that was conducted 20 years ago. That credit to the One Ring right here, almost 10,000 subscribers. They're the ones that found this and put this up. But isn't it interesting? I would never presume to tell the audience what to think. I would never presume to tell the audience what to do, what to feel. I'm just doing my best to act the character, and whatever the audience thinks about it, that's what they think. As opposed to every one of the actors involved with Lord of the Rings of Power, very specifically coming out and telling the audience, if you don't think a certain way, well, this is who you really are. You need to think this way about our show. You need to think this way about my character. You need to understand what we're doing. We're destroying Lord of the Rings for the good of people of color. Don't you understand? Now, I'm certainly not going to sit there and say over the past 20 years since he conducted this interview, Ian McKellen's never said anything that might come off stupid or what. I have no idea. I have no idea about the entire interview history of Ian McKellen, but I do know that that attitude right there, that as an actor, I'm not going to presume to tell the audience what to think, what to feel, what to do. I'm doing my best to interpret this character and put it on screen. That simple mindset, I would not presume to tell the audience what to think ever in anything I do. I think that would go a long way, maybe, to stop some of the backlash to Lord of the Rings. People still aren't going to like your dog shit show because the people who write it, the people who are involved in it, it's all woke garbage. It's solely based on identity politics. It's piss poor writing. It's bad acting. It's just terrible all around, considering how much money they spent on this thing. But that simple attitude from an actor towards what they're working on, that would go a long way to fixing some of the massive problems that Lord of the Rings of Power has. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about Ian McKellen's take from 20 years ago and how ironic it is that that could very much apply to what's going on with the current iteration of Lord of the Rings? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.